Thank you very much. If you just joined us, you're watching Good Morning Africa live on Pan-African Television with me, Kwame Owusu Danso. This is the News Review segment where we delve deeper into all the issues with our wonderful panelists here on the show. Here seated are Honorable Dr. Rashid Pelpo, the MP for Wa Central, indefatigable Member of Parliament for Wa Central, who's definitely, obviously retaining that particular seat, no questions asked. And the newbie, the incoming Member of Parliament for Anya Soutuom constituency. You see, my voice has gone up because I'm super excited about today that our friend, one of ours, won that particular primaries. We cannot be excited enough. Good morning to you, Dr. Aduma Kukisi, the darling boy of Anya Soutuom.
Good morning.
The Abedipele of Anya Soutuom. The Ronaldinho of Anya Soutuom.
Thank you.
The Maradona of
Thank you.
Sure, what's on top of us, bro? People don't know. But congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah?
Thank
congratulations. We were supposed to pop champagne, but it appears right after the monitor. But most importantly, you've won, and we're excited about it. Congratulations, congratulations. I'm sure Doc would want to congratulate you before we proceed to look at the issues.
Yeah. I mean, congratulations. I supported him only for the primaries, and he has won. I know that if NDC could win the seat, I would have been supporting the candidate, but it's an MPP-dominated area, and I wish him well. I just hope that he will do the right things and be able to contest properly at the national level, or else our man standing by will take it from him.
Yeah. Thank you. Let me quickly run you through the topics that we've tabled for our conversation this morning. So $200 million boost for cocoa production as Cocoa Board secures loan for productivity enhancement and enhancement program, which is the PEP. I will read a little bit about this story to you. MPP primaries, Party Guru says it was auction, not election. I describe it as monocracy as opposed to democracy. And that was captured prominently on the front page of the Insight newspaper today. Also says a new PIAC report reveals major misuse of petroleum revenues, and that has been captured aptly on the front page of the Gold Street Business today. Provide roadmap on pollution control. Professor Frimpong Boate demands of steel company. That story was also captured by the graphic. And I particularly picked this topic because of its importance relative to our sanitation issues in Ghana. So, it fees is one fits all situation for all of us, for me, and which is why I found it very imperative to pick, this particular story. Now, these are the topics that we've tabled for our conversation. But most importantly, somebody just tagged me in a post on Facebook. And if there's any element of truth in there, then I believe that something ought to give. We must immediately do something about this developing situation, which is rather very menacing, really. Now, the gentleman's name on Facebook is A. Walid Jr. And he simply captioned his post addressed to me as NIA registration Upper West Region Wa. And he says, Center, Kambali Mosque registration officers have asked the people to go back home and test because there are no forms. Citizens who left their beds as early as 4 a.m. this morning to queue ready to struggle again, hoping their luck will shine today. Because NIA cards in the Upper West region has become like a gold. Very hard to come by. No forms. Sad. Is it a deliberate attempt to still disenfranchise people here? Once the EC has called for the NIA card as a primary document for the new registration, should it come off, something must be done. The good people of Upper West region are suffering too much just to have one Ghana card. And it's very, very sad. And I think that it's received a number of shares on Facebook, which means that it's of grave relevance to the people who live in the Upper West region. And not just them. There are some people who actually petitioned, sent, should I describe it as a petition, but petitioned me about a similar development that is happening in the Volta region. And I think that we must immediately address this thing at the, holistically from a nationalistic perspective as opposed to polarized partisan perspective. Democratic experiment that we've been experiencing over the period. Let nobody deceive you. The democracy that we're enjoying is as a result of the fact that we've had, even though, yes, with some semblance of challenges here and there, but the generality of the success stories we've chalked relative to our elections is what really has has occasioned the democracy that we've enjoyed over the period. Elections about participation and competition. If you take participation out, then what benefit will competition be? Food for thought for all of us. Yirima has also joined us. Good morning to you. I am going to give you an opportunity to address this issue, particularly because you are from the Upper West region. In fact, you reside over a constituency in the Upper West region, and it's a very worrying development for all of us, including the very good people of Wa Central.
Terrible. Good morning, and good morning to our listeners and viewers. Let me just say also that over the weekend, last week, I had a terrible situation. I had lost my sister.
Oof.
Yeah, and had to take the body home.
Sorry.
As soon as I got there, 2 days later, another sister who was also unwell passed on. This cancer, breast cancer things and the rest.
Sorry.
And so my condolence to my other friends and brothers who also shared the same condolences with me, and I wish and pray that Allah will receive her in the best of places. Now, but this issue about registration for the national ID, or what they call the ECOWAS card, has become a thorny issue in the Upper West region. The Upper West region is as if there's a deliberate ploy to make sure that people are not registered. And it's worrying, my brother, it's worrying. Just this morning when I was coming, somebody called me, fortunately, or unfortunately, he's an MPP woman organizer who called me to complain that even where they are, which is dominated anyway by NDC people, they have deliberately for 2 days not registered a single person. And they kept saying the machine is not strong.
How?
Yes, that the machine is spoiled. When the machine is either the machine is spoiled or the person who is countersigning for them to confirm that this person is a Ghanaian and can be registered is not available. They said, oh, he has traveled, he hasn't come. And you have only limited 6 days to stay there. And you've already spent 3 days complaining that either the machine is not well or the person to sign is not available. That is the problem we are facing, my brother.
Is it a mop-up or completely an entirely new exercise?
It's like a new one, because when they came for the other one, the same problems. They talk about the machine is broken down, you can't register, so people didn't register. People were they tell lies and say that NDC said they should. It's a lie. Nobody said anybody should not register. People queued. I myself went to WA during the last registration, ensured that we carried people from distances to registration centers, and they did not get the opportunity to register. Either because they are complaining of a broken down machine, this thing is not working. Up to date, as we are talking, I left WA 2 days ago. Some of the items, the equipment to be used for the registration were not yet still available.
How?
And they had done 4 days. You can imagine that.
No, but what is happening? I really, let's. And I'm happy you're not looking at it from a partisan perspective. This is a national issue.
Yes.
Because all the people who are in WA are not NDC.
No.
There are some NPP people there. And what we're doing will end up disenfranchising many of the people who want to exercise their right to vote.
You see the Kambale, where the gentleman Walid Jr. sent you the information. It's at Kambale. It's a stronghold of the NDC.
Yeah.
And they have persistently are saying the thing is broken down, this thing is spoiled, go home, we don't have this, we don't have that. Now they are saying they don't have the confirmation forms that if you are a Ghanaian, if you don't have a passport to show that you can register and you are a Ghanaian or a birth cert, then go and sign the confirmation form, and then there will be to be countersigned. The forms are unavailable. So what do you want people to do?
So how do they expect people to
So you see now, and you are using this one as the primary material document for anybody to register for a voter ID. You see the kind of recipe for disaster that we are cooking in the Ashanti region. We have not heard about this complaint. We sent the best of materials there, the best of machines there, Nobody complained.
Even in Eastern region.
In Ashanti. Eastern region, nobody complained. You go to the north, everybody's complaining because they either send the broken down ones there or they send the inefficient and not so qualified people there to go and do the job.
Would you consider this as a gerrymandering tactics? Just to prevent...
It's evil, it's criminal, it's unacceptable. Because you cannot have all of us contribute money or you go and take a loan that we are all going to pay to buy equipment for us to do the one thing we all are looking for, register as a Ghanaian. Then you decide to make it impossible for some people to do it. It's criminal. And we can question it one day. It's unacceptable. Either the NIA is deliberately being inefficient, grossly, deliberately inefficient, or they are tutored to do that one thing that can make it impossible for people to register. In which case, in any case, any one of them, in each of the cases, is bad, is unacceptable, is un-Ghanaian, and cannot be tolerated at all.
But my difficulty, and I'm still staying with you before I come to, because of the gravamen of this particular issue, my difficulty really has to do with the fact that we're still in court, battling it out as to whether or not, we should use voters' ID card as one of the base documents that we can use for registration.
Yes.
I mean, in the event that the court allows the EC to go ahead with the registration exercise and things like that. And so the NIA now is a very important document. So if it is a very important document and it is something that we know, why is it that we are because from what you're saying, it's deliberate, isn't it?
Yeah, it's deliberate.
Why are we preventing people from registering? Why are we creating an atmosphere of mistrust in the system?
Yesterday, there was a call to me that when some of our boys went around to see what was happening in the other centers, they saw an MPP vehicle packed with the same forms that are shot that they can't find. And they are going about giving to people in the communities. Then they'll fill them, they'll take them to the center, they'll arrange for them to just come and take pictures and then go, and they'll issue the cards to them. Whilst other people are going to queue. When I went to the One House Palace, they queued from morning up to 5 p.m. They didn't get registered. And I swear to you, a woman was crying with her child. He said as soon as he prayed the Fajr prayer, he moved to the place, and up to the time I went there, by 4 something, she had not been registered. So I asked the people. They said some of the guys have gone to eat. I said, okay, for today and for tomorrow, I'm going to give you lunch. You are going to stay here and make sure you cover all the people who come to register, if it is because of lunch, So you can see the thing happening all over. And you don't go there to fight. When you go there and fight, then you spoil matters the worse. You make matters worse. In one station, a young man couldn't be patient enough. Even in the presence of the police, he had to slap the presiding officer. For a full day, the first day they didn't register anybody. Second day they didn't register anybody. Third day people came and you were insulting them and speaking foul language to them. Somebody slapped him and there was near pandemonium there, but people, cool heads dominated, and they were able to. So that's what is happening, my brother.
Well, Mambo.
Yeah, my brother.
Let me bring you before I bring our incoming in.
Yes. This is a very disturbing trend. A very good morning to your cherished viewers. But Kwame, I don't really get it, because here in Greater Accra, I remember very well when they even came to this electoral area.
They were even begging people to come.
That is it. And they spent at least a week in one center, then they moved to the other center. So I don't know how it is happening in the Upper West region, because in Greater Accra, when they come to an electoral area, they make sure that they visit about 3 or 4 police stations before they leave. So they spent a week in one police station, the other week they will move to another station. So I don't know the dynamics they are using there in Upper West region. Even here in Greater Accra, after the exercise, you could see that our cars delayed. And some of us are now receiving our cards. But Kwame, this issue should be taken very seriously, because this was anticipated by the NDC, and some of us are saying, no, it is not possible. This is a national card, and I don't think the ruling government or the NIA will be willing to, side with the ruling government to de-enfranchise people. But from the narratives, Kwame, I'm getting scared. It means that when you look at the areas being mentioned, Of course, these are areas where the ruling party doesn't win elections. So you could see the trend of events. Now, what will happen is that after this wave, where we've already registered, then we are going to vote. If you don't have a Ghana card, they say you have to get guarantors, right? So that is where the issue is going to be. Because a lot of people will then rely on that window. Because they don't have a passport, they don't have a Ghana card. So the only window left is the guarantor system. And there will be so much pressure. Then that is where people will come like, hey, you are not a Ghanaian, you are not eligible. In fact, Kwame, we are beating some world rounds in this country. We should be extremely careful. And honorable, I believe that it's about time we write to the NIA. Or even if Parliament can invite Professor Kenatifa to Parliament to answer certain critical questions. Because this trend is very worrying. We shouldn't sit aloof and watch these things go on. At the end of the day, it is the citizens of this country that will suffer.
You know, the difficulty is that it has been overly politicized to the extent that people are failing to let conscience prevail over their parochial, gains.
Precisely.
And for me, that's a very worrying trend. Look, and like I said in my opening statement, the democracy that we are enjoying is not by chance.
That is it.
You know, people have actually gone through a certain process. People have worked for it.
That is it.
So if you have been given an opportunity to manage the affairs of an institution that is superintending over the provision of cards for the purposes of an election, why don't you eschew some level that part?
That is what confuses
that's my problem, really.
Precisely. Because here, I remember what the Honorable is narrating, where there's like a commissioner of oaths who is present with the Bible and the Quran. So when you go and you don't have any of those documents, you get a guarantor and she has to affirm. Yes, so that is a challenge. Even here in Accra, you could see that there were a lot of people who couldn't have those documents. So there was a lot of pressure on that fellow. So I'm just imagining what will happen in the rural areas. Like even in Accra, people didn't have these two documents, and there was so much pressure on the Commissioner of Oaths to affirm their registration. So just imagine what will happen in rural Ghana or in other regions. So this is where I believe that the NIA, if they really want to do a good job, they should beef up. What stops them from getting 2 or 3 people to be doing the same activity in those areas?
Okay. Well, Dr. Nwagisi, would it be far from correct for anybody to assume that this is a deliberate, calculated attempt to prevent persons within the stronghold of the NDC from voting? Because that has been the narrative, really. When we started hearing reports about people not being able to register in the north, in the Volta region, and things like that, that was the narrative, that you are preventing people who are within the periphery of the stronghold of the NDC to register because you don't want them to vote in the 2020 elections. Would it be far from correct because of what we are experiencing now?
Well, Kwame, thanks for the opportunity to be here. Today being my first day back from a small campaign. And thanks to Anyanso Tum delegates for granting me this opportunity. And may the Almighty Allah and God bless all those who participated in the election exercise. I'm very happy, to say the least, for victory, and I'm praying and hoping to work hard to bring all of us together, which is the delegates who were either on my side or any other person's side. So my small message to them is that there's one team now, which is the MPP team. There isn't a Dr. Kisi team or whoever's team. Our focus now, I'm pleading with my supporters and the other supporters, our focus now, I beg, is to focus on winning the election and winning massively come December 7th. Now, back to the point of the day. One thing I need to assure all Ghanaians, the NIA has come to stay. National Identification Authority, it has come to stay. It's not a short-term thing. It will be with us just as we have the DVLA. It will be with us just as we have the National Health Insurance. So let's keep that in mind. No matter whatever registration exercise is ongoing is within a short term, but most places will be visited. As you rightly stated, this small area of Ayawaso West, I don't think they captured everybody. It was a small percentage of the Ayawaso West people that were captured during the time frame that they were here. Likewise, my own area, Anyanso Tum, we have a population of over 100,000 it is possible that they probably did just about 20,000 people during their visitation. So let's keep that in mind. Now, as we move further out of Accra, I think Eastern Region was the place to be when COVID happened. And literally, things didn't go as planned. So they backed out of Eastern Region. How does that affect their programs? It affects them in the sense that their timetable gets changed. So what they have had to do, per what I understand from Ken, is that instead of sending the same force to Eastern Region, they've had to now just split. That is one thing, because of one thing that hit all of us. All the NIA workers were sent home, and as much as they wanted to go with a full force for Eastern Region, it didn't happen. This issue in WA is not peculiar to just WA. I think it's peculiar even now to the Eastern Region. They're struggling. But I think, granted, this is the first week they've just started operation. They will definitely beef up operations. And you know, this week I've taken care of about 3 NIA workers who couldn't go to work because they are not well. And these are some of the inefficiencies you get when you start again. So I'm only going to just be the devil's advocate here, in the sense that I think it's just the first week of operation. Like all Ghanaian activities, we are not efficient right from the get-go. Let's zoom into a second and third week and see what happens. And with these complaints, before I leave here, I'm sure many would have heard this. And wherever it needs to go, it will go. I have a very good friend who's very in close contact with Ken, and I think I'll check with him when I'm done as to what is really happening and what can be done, because we want more people on the Ghana card. And just to add to it, there's no way people can be disenfranchised. It's not to anybody's benefit. Not to anybody's benefit. Because the benefits of the card transcends beyond just the card and even beyond the voter ID program. And we need to prove to all parties, and listen carefully, that truly we are attending to people just as we attend to people in our strongholds. And that onus is on the party or the government. Because if, should in case, we register fewer voters in WA Central, then the NDC will have a case to even halt or have us use the old register for election. I mean, and you know there's a window for that. If we fail to meet a certain number, for instance, if the entire Ghanaian population as it stands for voting is about 18 million, okay, those who vote, and by the end of this voter registration exercise in August, we have just 9 million. It's a done deal. We can't use that for the election.
Yeah, but
you understand?
But the difficulty is that we need the NI cards to aid in the EC's exercise that is about to embark upon, which is some few days away.
I'm not disputing that, though.
And that is putting pressure on people to go and register. That's the whole thing.
But my point here, I'm doing like the ultimate thing that, listen, whether rain or shine, if all of these checks and balances don't work out, and we have half of the population that we are expecting, then every party has a case. We can't use the new register. So, I mean, there's no way you can go to...
And why are you so guaranteed that when the number is half or the number is not half?
Oh, no. I mean, it's we have a Supreme Court.
Yeah, people will say, okay, then let's go with the old one.
We have a Supreme Court. And I think every party will have a case that, hey, we went into the last election with this voter registered population. Granted, maybe 70% of them voted. But here's a case that through this registration exercise, we've had a lower, not just turnout, but maybe lower number. And as such, if the country has 30 million people and only 9 million are going to determine the fate of the country, nobody will accept that.
Do you know what that means? It means that we've wasted enormous resources.
We have.
Exercise.
Let's proceed.
Let's wait till
let's proceed.
There.
Well, yeah. I mean, but I believe that we ought to let conscience prevail.
And you know, there's one more decision.
We should park our conscience behind our actions.
They haven't concluded yet on the form of approval for getting on the new voter register. There's one more decision left with regards to the things.
It's in court.
Yeah. So I think
that's why we're restraining ourselves.
By the 30th, who knows? They might have different ways of approving you to do.
So Owusu Jr. has sent the message again on Facebook, and somebody appears to be supporting that. Well, so Abugrago Osman Isaka says, good morning, Pan African TV. Watching you live from Aveno in Accra on Facebook Live. Your channel is the feedback is poor here. When I turn on my TV to watch your station, the signal is bad. Oh, really? Okay, we will address that. Abdul Ora Karim says, my greetings to my mentor, Dr. Adma Hokisi, my incoming MP for Anya. Franklin Lim says, good morning to KOD. Anytime I send you a message on WhatsApp, you don't read it. Oh, I apologize. Forgive me. Noble Ohinijan says, good morning to Kwame. This is serious. Even the state-owned businesses are not observing the social distancing protocols. Instead of security forces are forcing ordinary Okada riders to observe the protocols. It's not fair. From Noble Ohinijan in Huni Valley. Dr. Downblow says, President Mahama is the only hope for those whose capital and investments were locked up in the collapsed banks and microfinance companies. From 2021, there won't be government financial institution called Consolidated Bank of Ghana. My regards to Honorable Atofe Forcing Felix Kwache Ofosu, Kweku Reket Hagan, Raga, and Samuel Atamels. Walid, you have sent in your message again. It says, Kwame Owusu, as my regards to Dr. Hassan Rashid Pelpo, the good people of Wa Central, share our condolences with you in your loss. May Allah forgive all departed souls. Doctor, your constituents are proud of you always for continuing to be our mouthpiece. We shall renew your mandate come December 7th, inshallah. God bless you. God bless Pan African TV. God bless you, Kwame Owusu Danso, for being a patriotic citizen. Pima Isa says, good morning to you, KOD. What the Honorable is saying there is very true. At some point, they say the machine is down. Looking at this, would Ghana be peaceful during the voter registration time? But Allah will speak. Positive Change in Medina says, as we celebrate World Drugs Day today, I want to remind Akufo-Addo and his officials about the missing 100 grams of the cocaine from the GRA office. Interesting. Okay. Yaro D. Clifford is responding to Walid's message and says that, hey, Walid Jr., this is very ridiculous on the part of the NIA. Why should the Upper West region be treated this way? What wrong have the people in that region done to deserve such unfair treatment? My legitimate question is, was it the same way they treated the people in the Ashanti region? Even population-wide, Upper West region cannot outmatch any of the southern sector regions. If the NIA thinks we don't deserve to be Ghanaians, then they should quickly and better show us the country we belong to, period. Interesting. Juliana Belinda Lamte Obri says, good morning. My card is ECOWAS card, not GH card. Abdul Rashid Nuhu said, it's very, very rare to use one day to get the card in WA. A minimum of 2 days is the norm. I was there as the Chief Palace Center when Honorable Rashid Pelpo came there, and that was my second day. Anyway, I will finally have the opportunity to show Nana and their parliamentary candidates where power lies. Harun Kuri says, good morning to KOD and to your panelists. Come to Tumu, where I am now. People do not adhere to the social distancing protocols. When you get to the NIA registration center, why should we still go through these in these times? When the NIA said should increase their work, when the NIA staff should increase their efficiency, the way and manner they work in other regions is amazing. And when they get to Upper West region, things are some way. Can the NIA increase the number of working equipment they used in other regions like Ashanti and Western when they came to Upper West region? Why should it be so? Why didn't the government put NIA under EC or BEFs and DEFs? I'm so sad. Nabanye Wajatapa. I hope I got the name right. Good morning to KOD and your... Nubania, Wajatafa, Tunagara. Good morning to KOD and your management. Also to your panelists, especially Honorable Dr. Rashid Purple for their wonderful submissions. Dr. Rash, Tunagara, he greets you. Frederick Cunningham. Good morning, KOD and your panelists, especially Honorable Rashid Purple. The fact remains that the NIA team goes to an electoral area which might have about 4 polling stations for only 5 days and fix all the electoral area center, after which they move to the next electoral area. A case in point is Nadolu Kaleo constituency in Upper West Region. Innocent Tendana says, good morning to you. My greetings to Honorable Rashid Purple by Ankilu Suriri. Sweetie. I'm telling you. Nanaya Amwa says, good morning to you. To the Kakai, Ronaldinho, Messi, and the unifier, the incoming MP. Now, let me take my time with this message.
That's right.
KOD, good morning. To the Kakai, Ronaldinho, Messi,
that's right,
and the unifier,
that's right,
the incoming MP for Anya Sotom constituency.
Hey, Charlie, Honorable, your title.
Dr. Adumaku Kisi. He says, no,
he's in there.
I mean, you said it. Now people are thinking.
No, but you're Ronaldo. I know Ronaldo.
Messi.
Sure, Messi
at the same time. They dribble.
So I should add Barcelona.
That's a dribble.
He said what? He said, may the Lord continue to bless him and deliver in the constituency. This is Nana Yao Amwa from Sotom National Health Insurance Authority. Kotoka Gameli says, good morning to you, Senior. I think we are forgetting something as citizens. Non-functional COVID-19 tracker app, which a huge sum of money was spent on launching and manufacturing it. Yet, we are not seeing its effectiveness. By the way, why should I be in my own private car and wear nose mask? We are waiting for December. Kotoka College in Aloga in the Volta region. I was asking this question too. Already when you're in your car and the AC is on, cry, you're struggling. Then you put on nose mask. Anyway, let's now come to the substantive matters that we've tabled for our conversation. This was just by way of education and reminder. Now, 200 million boost for cocoa production. Ask Cocoa Board secure loans. You guys can go through the newspaper. Sorry, I have mine here. Ask Cocoa Board. Ask Cocoa Board secures loan for productivity enhancement program. I beg your pardon, which is the PEP. So let me quickly just take you through that story here. And it says the Ghana Cocoa Board has received $200 million loan facility from a consortium of banks for the takeoff of the Productivity Enhancement Program, PEP. The facility is the first tranche of $600 million credit from the banks signed in 2017. Both cultivation of cocoa beans and the processing of same in the country. Chief Executive Officer of the board, Joseph Wahin Edu, who disclosed this in Accra yesterday at the launch of the syndicated loan facility for the PEP, said the facility has come at the right time to support the cocoa sector. The facility will, among others, increase cocoa production through PEP, irrigation facilities, the expansion of warehousing capacity, processing and promotion of cocoa consumption, as well as the creation of a reliable database required for the smooth distribution of input farmers. Now, it continues and goes on and on and on. You remember, let me start with you. I mean, the cocoa, if I can say, for lack of better expression, fraternity, hasn't really seen that level of growth that we're expecting it to have over the period. And of course, it's owed to a number of reasons. One, that we have not done proper and better investment in that particular sector.
That's right.
I mean, unfortunately, we use that sector to go for loans.
That's right.
But we don't use the loans to address the challenges confronting that particular sector. As we speak now, we do not have an industry that processes the beans. So we export in raw form the beans that we get from the farmers, and that's ridiculous, right?
Precisely.
So how do we ensure that all these monies, they're looking for some $600 million, $600 million, 200 of which has been given to them. How do we ensure that this money goes to benefit the people who are supposed to benefit from this part? Because it speaks about pruning, it speaks about mass spraying exercises, and goes on and on and on for higher yields and things like that. I'm confused, really.
Precisely.
I'm confused.
And we are justifiable to be very confused because this is not the first time we've gone for such a facility. We've been going for such facilities over the years. And what has been the input of the facility in our cocoa production? In fact, we keep on even declining. Comparatively, if you look at the figures, in 2016 to 2017, we did over 969 or 990,000 tons.
Yeah.
Last year, 2018, 2019, we did only 812 tons.
Yeah.
1,000 tons. So look at it. Yes, we are declining. So meaning that with all these facilities coming in, we are still not, improving upon our production. It means that there is a challenge somewhere that we are not addressing. And Kwame, as you rightly said, all these monies that have come in over the years, what have we channeled the monies into? I remember a very popular one we call the cocoa rules. You realize that even monies designated for cocoa rules will end up in other places which are not connected to cocoa in any way. So you could see that we've not been spending the money directly on that sector, and that has affected our production. And I'm telling you, if Ghana, as at 2020, we can't do over 1 million tons of production, then I don't know what we are doing. In fact, we can't even cross 1 million production. Then I believe we have a long way to go. It all boils down to the kind of investment we are doing in this sector. The kind of investment done over the years has been very shallow. And I believe that the Ministry of Agriculture and the Cocoa Board should take these matters seriously. Because we talk about pruning every year. We talk about extension officers getting seedlings. They talk about this every year. But Kwame, we don't see the yield. We don't see it. When it comes to other byproducts of cocoa, cocoa is a very strategic product. It has several byproducts. If we really meant business and we're doing correct investment in this in this sector, Kwame, the byproduct of cocoa alone, the pomades, there are so many byproducts that we can create a serious value chain for. But what have we done in this country? We export, as you rightly said, almost 95% of it. The thermal processing company does only a few, about 5% of processing. And this is a very disturbing trend. Yeah. And we've said this is not rocket science. We've said this, if we could even do this in the 60s, what stops us from doing this in 2020? What stops us, Kwame? We've done this in the 1960s. What stops us from doing us now? Kwame, it is a challenge. And I believe that this is what the MPP and the NDC should answer. Because since 1992, they have been in the health of affairs.
Yeah, but are they bereft of ideas? Because I'm surprised that over the period, we've not really seen the real value
precisely
of cocoa.
Precisely.
You recall that at one point, for the determination of the pricing, there was a conversation about getting into partnership with Ivory Coast.
Precisely, yeah, I remember.
In order that we could determine the prices and things like that for the purpose of exporting.
Yes, yes.
But, beyond that, we've not had conversations about how we can ensure sustainability. One, because now, if you look at even the farmlands, they are all being used for mining purposes. So the 1 million tons that you are talking about, maybe...
Precisely, I was coming to that.
The end is
typical areas, we go to safe areas where they are typical cocoa farmers. You realize that Galamsey guys, operators, have started, invading those farmlands. And they are buying it at very high, amounts. So the farmers have been attracted to. They don't think about the future. That this money I've been taking, maybe about 5 years' time, I will not have enough to even cater for the family. So they buy the farmlands. And if you refuse for them to purchase yours, they'll buy all the ones around your farm. And in fact, you start feeling the negative effects of Galamsey on your production. So these are the sectors or the key things government should take seriously. We need cocoa production. In fact, our economy, even before independence, have been reliant on this sector. And I believe that this sector should be taken extremely seriously before we can make a headway. But Kwame, hence we need to do. If 2 countries in West Africa can control over 70% of the world production of cocoa, I believe then we should be giants. We should determine the price. We should ensure that, yes, we will not allow this quantum of cocoa to go out. We will produce it locally here, create an African market for it, make our monies, and those who want it in raw state, they have to pay a very high value for it. I think this is the way to go. Every year we'll be doing these investments, but I don't see the yield. And that is the challenge. 200 million, they're even demanding for 600 million. The 600 million will come. Next 2 years, Kwame will be sitting here, the same issue will come, that another 1 billion is coming for cocoa production. And it doesn't show. So Kwame, I believe that Cocoa Board and the Ministry of Agriculture and government should take this sector seriously, do the right investment, and let us benefit from the cocoa sector.
Thank you very much. Let me now come to Dr. Adma Okisi.
Yeah, Kwame, we are hoping with the initiative for adding value to our processes in the country, that hopefully there'll be a day in time that cocoa moves from being a seed, plant, harvested, processed to chocolate for all of us. And I think that day will come soon. And we're hoping that the same can be done for all other things we grow in our country, so that we don't have to transport it outside the country, get it processed, and then return to us. And I think that would have helped us as a nation. Now, with regards to some of these loans, sometimes I look at it, as in the long-term bigger picture. Just like the airline industry, when you take a loan for an aircraft, you service it for sometimes 70 years. Yes, aircraft. So if you look at it in that perspective, then some of these arrangements for an industry like cocoa might seem out of line, out of touch with reality, but in actual sense, every industry has its peculiarity. For instance, in the medical industry, for instance, some of these laboratory equipment, like a CT scan machine, you're talking about several millions of dollars. So if you go and purchase it, and you are purchasing or doing a loan to service the machine, board members should look at it. And I am hoping, and this is where sometimes my friends don't like me very much, but I believe that some institutions should be apolitical, and cocoa industry should be one of those, whereby if NDC comes, they don't appoint their board. When MPP comes, they also don't appoint their board. If we had it as a standalone entity for the country, whereby very qualified people handle the affairs for 10, 20 years, I don't think we'll be where we are now.
But still, you have the cocoa board under the Ministry of Agriculture.
No. I mean, that's what I'm saying, that if it is a standalone entity.
Okay, standalone. Okay.
Whereby you're not being dazzled with government,
But you can suggest to your people too.
No, I'm just saying. That's why I said that this is something that will not sit well with both NDC and MPP. I hope you understand what I'm saying. Or we come to terms with a strategy whereby you have 6-year term for the board members, so that we don't just be, changing. Because once you change board members, your priorities also change. Or some priorities that were very important get sidelined because new king, new rules. So these are some of the things we need to look at as a country. Because, in other countries, certain things are national and not made party-based. And I think it helps. It helps. So cocoa, thanks to Tetekwashi, has come to do Ghana very good. We need to do our very best. I mean, sometimes when I look at the Memorial Hospital associated with cocoa production, I weep, if you understand what I mean. Because considering the monies invested or taken out of cocoa industry, and looking at the hospital, which should stand as the symbol of the grandness of cocoa industry, we haven't done so well. So I hope that we improve, because cocoa has come to stay in Ghana, and we need our next cocoa, which I think is the oil industry, which is also now picking up. But let's pray that these loans will be more importantly used for what they were appropriated for. That if they can stick to what they were appropriated for, I think the amount involved will not be an issue. That's my.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Adwa-Okisi. Dr. Rteview, let's hear from you.
Thank you so much. I think that when the loan finally was granted government by Parliament, some of us were very concerned about how much is going to be utilized to improve cocoa production, as was the reason for the loan, or has been the reason for the loan. $600 million, $90 million of that amount is going into hand pollination, meaning that pollination is normally by birds and insects. Now you are going to have people going from plant to plant to pollinate. The thousands of plants, you can't imagine. Individuals are going to take this tiny things and place in the flowers to pollinate them. and you know that this money is going to go somewhere wasted. This 200 million that they are going to take, the first tranche of money they are taking, just take note of what they are going to use it for. It's going to be used for expansion of warehouses. It's going to be used for enhanced production of cocoa. It's going to be used for training. I mean, you see that it's not something they are going to account for in an election year. And you know exactly where the money is going. $200 million. That's how much Ghana is bleeding. $600 million is going down. You don't know where it's going. And we are worried because like Adumas, Dr. Dr. Kisi has said, let me cut off the Adumako. It's giving me problems. You know, how to make the cocoa board apolitical is very important. When Professor Mills came, the gentleman who was appointed to man cocoa board, the chief executive, he didn't sack him. He kept him there. Look, let's try and make this thing an independent, you know, an organization that we can trust. He kept him there for some time. He went on retirement, then he appointed another person. When MPP came, before they even took power, they sent a message to the guy, pack off and leave. We don't want to come and meet you there. You know, not only you, all your assistant and everybody, go. They sack everybody, even before they finally took over the place. So that's the kind of thing you can think about. The man who came and said, oh, Father for all, let's make sure cocoa board is a place we don't have to. He was thinking like Dr. Kisi. You know, right. I mean, he should have been with NDC. He's such a nice person. You know, and you came, and even before you started office, you sacked the man, you took him to court, you can't find anything wrong, but you kept him there, and things are happening everywhere. And you send somebody there, every time there's scandal there. The scandals in cocoa board alone, I mean, it can't fill a house. So much. Our ranking member for agriculture, in his contribution during the State of the Nation address, the budget, you know, request, he made he brought up serious allegations that need to be addressed. And I think that the government should not just gloss over some of these things. The construction of warehouses, the spending of money, the road construction work that is being done by cocoa board itself, rather than, and etc., etc. All those kinds of things that are capable of bringing down our cocoa production is what is happening. So I think that we need to relook at how much we value cocoa and oil. These are key areas. And there's a story about oil which is also coming. I'm sure we should be able to go through it, you know, by the public interest. That's the one that is following immediately after this one. Yeah, it's serious.
Yeah, well, on the basis of the analysis made by you and the fact that, I mean, we cannot account for some of the monies that we're getting, you know, because you said that, I mean, obviously it will be going into other things as opposed to the hand pollination that we want to be engaged in. Now, predicated on that is another issue which is pregnant with confusion, which has to do with the report by PIAC, which is revealing major misuse of petroleum revenues. Now, this is the most, you know, the most nerve-wracking aspect of it. And remember, you should listen to me closely. Yeah. The biggest infraction is that in 2019, out of the annual budget funding amount, which is the ABFA, of $2,750,840,639.72 available for spending, only $1,270,944,344.86 was actually utilized, and the balance of over 1 billion was not only utilized, it remains unaccounted for.
Yeah, it's spent, but you don't know where it's gone.
Yeah, it's unaccounted, and the PIAC says that this is the third consecutive year that the ABFA was not fully utilized and the unused balance has not been accounted for. Now, PIAC is worried because PIAC says that they do not have the legal authority to sanction offenders and allow, because they are not allowed under Section 58 of the Petroleum Revenue Management Act, right? So the institutions such as the Auditor General, the Special Prosecutor, IOCO, and a few other agencies who have the prosecutorial powers should take up the matter, but they have not taken up the matter. And every now and then, you find the taxpayer losing money. Losing money. So losing, Honorable. It's very frustrating. If you're a young man, there's this quote by Wole Soyinka. And I found that to be very profound. Very, very profound, a statement that he made when he says that, listen, it is only in Africa will thieves be regrouping to loot again, and the youths whose future is being stolen will be celebrating it. We vote for people, they come, they steal money, we are celebrating them because they buy V8 when they come to our villages, they give us 100 Ghana, 50 Ghana, we are happy. Now we don't even vote for people who are intelligent to go to parliament and go and argue things out. We vote based on money. It's very frustrating. If you're a young guy who cares about this nation, you reap, about some of these things that are happening. Daylight robbery.
You find somebody who doesn't work. But who is coming to contest an election
and
he's donating money from somewhere you don't know.
How?
A young person, they are happy.
How
they are
do you
following the
progress?
person. They say, oh, he's able to do a boho. He's able to do this.
How?
And we are not thinking.
In fact,
the nation is going down.
Completely.
We are gone. The future is very bleak.
And Edgar when it comes to these matters, I really remember him. He was supposed to come and said that he has a meeting.
Yeah.
But when we're having such conversations, I remember, it reminds me of him because he always poses a very fundamental. He said, Kwame, in the next 10 years, do you foresee where Ghana will be? I said, no, I don't know. I cannot tell you.
That is it.
That is sad, Honorable Rteview.
You were talking about West Central. I'm sorry to bring up this. A young lady, SS Lever, who happened to be close to government, comes to contest primaries with an MCE who has a master's degree and was teaching in the university, a young man who is working with a gold company and who has a master's degree, and another person who is a planner, what do you call, a land engineer or something like that. That young lady who came was distributing money, SS Lever, who couldn't proceed to university, won the elections because they said she was able to give money. What kind of society do we have?
We're building a very, it's very, it's
serious.
Listen, this thing is very dangerous.
Revolution now is loading.
The society that we are building right now, danger is looming. We don't see it.
You need one conscious being who will reorient the youth, and that is it. We are finished.
Because right now everybody is getting into politics because of contract.
That is it.
Because of money, because I want to build a house, I want to buy a mansion.
Precisely.
People are stealing. This is daylight robbery. You cannot account for 1 billion.
Yeah, 1.24 billion to 1.27 billion.
It's more than that.
It's almost 1.479.
Yeah, almost 1.5 billion.
That's about $300 million.
I'll come to you, Dr. Mokisa, I'll come to you, but I'm worried. I'm worried.
But that's the one you can see. There are many others you are unable to see. And that's the problem. Can you remember that when we came to government, when this government came into office the first time, we took a loan, a syndicated loan, a Eurobond syndicated loan of $2.25 billion. Dollars.
Yeah, I remember.
Can you tell us what the money was used for?
The one that was described as Ken Bond.
Yes. What was the money was used for?
I don't know.
It was used to finance maturing debts.
They said that they use it to show up the economy, they use us to do this and that and that. And we are paying $400 million, understand, a year for the bond. And we are going to pay it over a long period with huge interest. And is used to refinance this, is used to rebuy this and that, some technical language that you and I will just give up trying to understand. Lots of monies are going to the drain. So we have a big problem. And I think that young people should still begin to question this. But you cannot question it if you are there ready to be bought by another person.
Sharp.
can't.
If you are willing to sell that conscience of yours and to be given pittance so that you can be satisfied. Some of us have come through a long struggle. To finance my education, I used to work as a laborer. You can't believe it. Yeah, my mother was the president of the Yam Sellers Association and was selling yam. She would go and buy yam, bring to Upper West and sell. I never wanted to take money from my mother. I said, look, use it to boost your business. I will go and work for myself. And I did that. I never followed any politician. In the university, I never followed any politician. And when it came to the crunch, I will go and teach. Yes, out of my busy schedule, I'll just organize and teach people in order to get something for myself. But today, for a young man to be successful, he has to follow somebody. And if they come to you and you don't have the money to give them, then you are in trouble. So the impression is that they are constrained, they are unable to work. They have to follow. I know young guys who, when I entered the university with them, who were able to finance their university education because they were farming. They moved to Techiman, they were farming, they will sell their products, and then they will be able to finance their education. They were my mates. I had a young guy who came to me for money, and I said, look, let me give you money to do a 4-acre farm. I will finance it when it is about, when you plant the things and they grow, so you can put fertilizer, and then at least at the end of the year, you won't suffer the way you are suffering, asking me every time to give you money to buy food. He said I shouldn't take him back. I should let him go move forward. I'm telling you.
I don't know what to take him back.
Quite recently, there was a fire hazard at a location in Accra here. I went there to sympathize with them, and I was advising the young guys who were sleeping in cardboards and things. Why don't you find money, go back and help your dad and mom who are farmers at home, so they can at least improve their farms. When something like this happened to you, but you would have at least have something at home that your mom and dad who have been taking care of you, who farm to take care of you, will have something to celebrate about. Somebody took the matter to my constituency and said that I said people in Accra should go back and farm. I should tell my children to.
But is it bad to farm anyway?
So you see the mentality.
We all have farms.
People don't want to produce. We don't want to work and produce. And so it's like every time it's about a politician, you should pay the fees, you should do this, you should take care of them. From where will you get the money? So people
things like
that's what I'm driving at. If you depend on only a salary, you can't do that. They accuse me, buy motorbikes for us. They hear this MP is buying motorbikes, they hear he's buying vehicles for his people. You are not doing it. Why are they asking me? Why are they telling me that? Because they know that if I'm in government, I should be able to still get plenty money and be able to give to them to do all that. Until we can question people who are doing things beyond their earnings, we cannot be a good citizen. You can't be a good citizen. We can't run this nation successfully. We are having to bleed this nation every now and then so that we can personalize the resources of the nation, which is very dangerous.
Yeah. Now, even more damning, and I'm coming to you, Dr. Adama OPC, is the fact that beyond the 2019 figures that have been put out by PIAC, right, lies the underlying issue about the latest report that they've singled out, which is that Ghana National Petroleum Corporation, has been singled out for scathing criticism, complaining that even as the corporation spends heavily on corporate social responsibility initiatives, it fails to meet cash calls from its partners in oil and gas field development for investment in a project where it represents the equity interest of the state. Consequently, those partners such as Tullow Oil, Cosmos Energy, ENI, and other equity partners in operating oil and gas fields have resorted to using the proceeds of what should have been GNPC's oil liftings to secure the corporation's called-in investment capital. Thus, for instance, only one of the 3 liftings from the Sankofa Gigabe fields during 2019 actually gave GNPC revenue. Its proceeds from the other 2 were used by the partners led by ENI to cover its investment cash calls which it had failed to meet. So, you know, the principle of spending when you do not have is an issue. The principle of engaging in corporate social responsibilities when you've not met your target is very frightening. Why are we spending? And you recall, this GNPC issue became a big matter. You recall? I think even during the NDC's era, it was an issue. During MPP's era too, it has become an issue. But why is GNPC funding Rebecca Kufu's foundation? Why? When they are not even meeting their targets. You see, the oil field that we have, for instance, all of these, what was this fund called? The Heritage Fund and things like that, you know, are supported from the proceeds that we make from our oil fields. However, how are we ensuring that the proceeds that we're making are enough to sustain the operations of the businesses for us to have extra that will go into the Heritage Fund and all the other funds that are used for the purposes of developing our dear nation, Ghana? Why are we not thinking about the future of this nation? Why are we thinking about now and what we can get now? How many houses can I build now? How many? What is it? What is it, Honorable?
Kwame, I beg to differ in certain sense.
Oh, you would, obviously, you would.
I'm just trying to bring our attention to corporate decisions, and then the oil industry. The oil industry is an entity of its own. Let's keep that in mind. And most of the time, any industry that makes a decision that is independent can be seen in other quarters as ill or, you know, not well thought out. So my only thing is that I'll beg from a financial standpoint, let's be mindful of the fact that, for instance, oil prices are not set here in Ghana. Let's be mindful of the fact that they have a whole different world of their own, which in all senses, you don't have zero balance before you can do certain things in business. What I mean by that is you asked one question, how can they be indebted and still run social blah, blah, blah? I'm here to just state a few things. Kwame, as for oil industry, if you're not in, most of the things they do won't make sense to you. I mean, seriously. So let's leave them. Let me just state this. You know that the whole OPEC thing, OPEC does not make sense to a lot of world entities. So it isn't today that we are going to unravel oil industry mysteries. So I'm only saying that from a corporate standpoint, banks have what they do, cocoa industry have what they do, airline industry has what they do, oil people also have what they do. Now, you may be looking at it in terms of $1 million for social responsibility, and they have revenues of $1.3 trillion. I'm just, you know, so in relative terms, what you are making noise about is so small in terms of their big, huge infrastructure. Tulu Oil, as you know, spends so much on diamond, in case you are not aware. You know, because the oil industry lives on diamond to do those cracking into very deep, you know, rocks. So, I mean, there's so much to it. On the surface, you may make judgments because of, not out of, forgive me, ignorance, but not in-depth knowledge about the industry. So I'll beg us, I mean, you know, when you enter the industry and you have a, it's like boxing. Boxing is a whole different thing. Producer takes a lot of money away from the boxer himself because of so many things he has to also do, which the boxer might not be aware of. I mean, I hope you get where I'm coming from. So I'll beg us. I mean, it's unfortunate that maybe inappropriate accounting is happening, we can, query that. But that is for the board members, that is for the investors to make that decision, because I won't go ask when I'm not investing there. But if the investors and the shareholders of these entities are comfortable with all these things and are even pushing for more social interventions, who are we?
Okay.
Yeah. Who are we?
Let me read a few messages before I come to you, remember.
So
this one is from Oswald Hagan. It says, may I take this opportunity to congratulate him, Dr. Admokisi, on his victory last Saturday. I have a couple of messages that have come through this morning. Where are they? Oh, where are they? Okay. So, yeah. So this one says, good morning to you. Greetings to Dr. Prince Hamid. Amakwesi Minting is calling. Oh, my battery just died. Wow, interesting. Let me come to you.
Yeah, Kwame, yes. I believe maybe some of the issues Doc has raised, yes, in the technical aspect of oil production, we can say that we don't have any in-depth understanding. But when it comes to the fundamentals, I don't see where we shouldn't and why we shouldn't question those in the helms of affairs. Because here we are talking about a shortfall of over almost 1.5 billion, which is equivalent to about $300 million. And this is a serious issue. And this is not the first year. I remember very well last year we were sitting here discussing this same issue, where there was still a shortfall. We couldn't account for the difference. And I believe these are things we should hold our leaders to. Look, they need to come out and explain things to us. What is happening? $300 million, honorable, it can do so many things for the society. Several things. $300 million. It's no joke. So I believe that this is about a time that people shouldn't come to us and be preaching about fighting corruption. They should tell that to the Marines. If this has been happening within 3 consecutive years, you can't even solve it. You are talking to us about corruption, fighting corruption. How are you fighting it? So these are fundamental things we need to hit them on. And I believe it is your government in power. We need to hold them keenly to it. If it was the Indies, we would have done the same. So, honorable, yes, the technical aspect of oil, yes, let's leave it to the experts, but the fundamentals, as in a shortfall in revenue, what the money was being used for, I think these are the things we should address. Kwame, we in the CPP, fundamentally, we have a problem. Even with how much we are generating in our oil sector, we believe what we are getting is peanuts. Why? Because when we started the negotiation for this oil, the kind of system we tried to use, it has failed us. A hybrid system, a royalty tax system. We said, no, go for a production sharing formula or production formula system where if it is maybe 80% they are getting, the state will get 30% and the companies or those who are doing the drilling will take the rest. This was a formula we opted for. But they said, no, the companies will not agree to the terms and conditions. And I said, other countries have done it. Botswana and Co. They've done the production sharing formula. And it is working. They are getting so much from their oil as compared to us. How much are we getting from our oil? Peanuts. So those who did the initial negotiations, in fact, they cost the state so much money. Look, with this system, you are getting less than, you are not even getting up to 20%. With a production formula, we would have gotten either 30 to 40%. And you see, when you say these things, they say, oh, well, the industry is complex. Look, it's all about negotiation. And another African country, Botswana, has done it. So what stopped Ghana from also negotiating and making sure that we get a better deal from our oil and gas? Kwame, what also disturbs us very well in this industry is the fact that, look, we are drilling here. Not even a small iota or a barrel of oil is refined in this country. We have a fundamental challenge with that. We understand the RFCC machine in Tor is still working. The residual fluid catalytic cracker is still working. So that cracker, why are we not using a very sophisticated machine that can refine? So the little we get, can't we at least go to terms with this production, these companies and tell them, look, we want to refine so and so barrel here locally. When you do that, look, that can boost your economy. It means that for local, usage of oil, you can actually, do your own refining of maybe petrol, diesel in this country. When that happens, you don't need to get BDCs to bring it in and make a serious profit over our heads. So these are critical areas we want the state to pay attention to. And this is not rocket science. It can be done. That machine is just sitting there in the refinery, rotting away. I don't get it. A very expensive and sophisticated machine. And we are not using it. And we are happy sitting down, saying that, oh, the machine, we need to go and refine it somewhere and bring it in. What are we doing to the industry? So, Kwame, I believe that this industry, we've made so much, we've made peanut from this industry. And the little we are getting to, we are not also seeing the extent of what being done to at least show that, oh yes, Ghana, we are producing oil, and this is the amount we are getting, and this is the infrastructure projects or other investments we've done. A shortfall of 1.5 billion. Kwame, this is serious. I mean, my worry is that if it was the first year, would have said that, oh, maybe let's go in there. But it has been happening over the years. And our leaders are quiet about this situation.
There's one fundamental issue that we've not looked at, which has to do with the fact that PIAC has opined that they don't have legal authority.
Yes, they don't.
You know,
Corporate.
Granted, I mean, but they don't have legal authority.
Yes.
I am part of the people who advocated for Auditor General to have, you know, some prosecutorial powers because they do the investigation, you know, they do the auditing, and they should be able to have the evidence to be adduced in court for the purposes of prosecuting, or, you know. But of course, I also very much agree that the Auditor General, I mean the Attorney General and things like that. No, I'm saying that I was advocating for it. I know they have. But I said I was advocating for that. I mean, in one of my interviews back in the day, I was interviewed on Metro TV. I advocated for that. I said that, listen, I believe that Auditor General must be given some prosecutorial powers, at least for the purposes of prosecuting things, because oftentimes they come out with their reports and their findings, and nothing happens to that.
It's almost like saying that the police should put you in court, like have their own court. It doesn't work. You need an independent.
No.
You understand?
No, but you have prosecutors in the police service. The point I'm making is that no, I very much agree with you when you say that they are more like corporate institutions. I mean, but I said that Auditor General is a state institution, that is clothed with the authority of auditing state institutions, other state institutions.
What happens? Let me just say this. When you have forensic audits and it's very strong, then their case can be made in court. And it should be believable to the jury. That is the whole thing.
Yeah.
Now, there are many times when things are smokescreen, appear to be. And that is where we have a problem. You know, and oh, he must be taking money. He must be doing this. Only for you to check, and it isn't so.
But if you like, for instance, your hospital, you have people who are administratively managing it. Correct. You expect to have a certain revenue at the end of the month, or in fact, you draw your budget, and then you're supposed to spend a certain amount of money. So the administrators bring you the expenditure. You provide the money. They say they're going to spend 200,000 Ghana cedis for the month. You provide the money. Then they spend 100,000 Ghana cedis. Right? And then the other 100,000, they cannot account for that. Would you be happy sitting down and realizing that these guys, I can actually tell, it's been happening over the years, and you'll be comfortable with that, Doc? That's the point you're making. That you have in excess of over almost 2 billion that is unaccounted for. And that's precisely what we are talking about. That money could be channeled into.
So, Honorable, who is the spending officer here?
Who is the spending officer?
Who is the one who? Yes.
You see, that is the point.
Where we have issues, and I have to say this: the corporate strategies or expenses that cannot be put in the public domain. You should understand that.
Yeah, but it's the people's money.
So it's almost as if, I mean, for instance, I mean, if I win a court case, how much I pay my lawyer can maybe be made public or not public.
But that's private matter.
No, I'm just saying.
This is a public institution. These are not budget.
It is not an entirely 100% public institution. Please, you know.
No, we understand.
Yeah.
That.
So, and really, I'm not here defending,
but it looks like,
you know, but my point is that there's an extent to the information to which you can be privy to.
So PIAC is also not privy to that information?
Please. How much has PIAC put into this?
Then on what basis did we...
So it means that this...
That's what I'm saying.
So are you telling us that this missing amount...
It's gone forever. It's gone forever.
There's no way we can see what...
I'm not saying that the missing amount. What I'm saying is that not all expenditures are put in the public domain.
Must be put in the public. How? It must be put in the public. No.
All expenditure
must be put in the public.
Must be accounted for.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Who is the spending officer?
Will be published if all money coming
give me a second.
from our consolidated fund must be audited, the audit report must be put in the public domain, and the according to the law that establishes
the Public Management Procurement Act.
The Public Management Procurement Act. Every month, you have to report on what you earn and what you expend. So it's not like something out of that can be hidden from the public. It's compulsory. It's by law. If they decide not to do it, that's why the Public Interest and Accountability Committee is worried about it. Because the law says, make it public. You are hiding the money and you have chopped it. You don't know where I've taken it. Nobody knows where the money is. And it's prosecutable. And that's why they are worried. They said that they cannot take them to court.
Yeah.
But these are matters that can
be raised by the state.
You should take these matters seriously. Kwame. Because this money we are talking about, it's no joke. And it has happened over the years.
My difficulty is that we seem to concern ourselves so much with,
Where's the story?
Party politics, dirty party politics, as opposed to some of these nuances within our nuances within our body politic. And we are so much concerned about destroying others. Are you following? Destroying others politically, as opposed to dealing with some of these issues that has the potency of creating a lot of problems for us. What moral authority does he have to tell you?
So maybe I can use this opportunity to say this, that yes, in all honesty, California spent about $7 million to just define marriage a few years ago.
Who is California?
California. I'm talking about
US.
The US.
Okay.
And the reason why I'm saying this is that it was just one decision about marriage, whether man and man can marry or female and female can marry. $7 million. My point here is that when you are trying to reach any decision, you need to back it up with what?
Money.
Some money.
Yeah, of course.
And no matter what, if we don't admit to this, we'll be fooling ourselves. Good decisions don't come by easy. Good decisions. If you don't back it up, forget it. So let's wake up as Ghanaians and let's be about the most important things.
No, wait a minute. Are you the only person? No, I'm just confused. Are you the only person who spends there?
No. I mean, Kwame, like I said,
beyond that, you see that the thing
it's
is
a propagandist thing.
No, I do. So that's why we need to deflate. That's why we need to deflate that propaganda, because the truth of the matter is that there are a lot of people within other constituencies who spent 4 times how much you spent.
But yours is
a peanut.
Somebody
peanut. Now they're in
in order to depose the chairman of the finance
committee,
according to what we hear, he was paying $1,000 for each. The opponent who beat him was paying $4,000 each.
Really?
Can you imagine that?
Really?
Can you compare that to yours?
Yours is just paper. Did you pay delegate? I don't know, master. I also told people they just simply like you. That's a fact.
As for me, I'm the broke man.
No, you don't get money.
I'm the broke man.
No, even within those you contested, I'm hearing that you are the cash man amongst them.
I'm the broke man.
That's what I'm also hearing. You are the cash man
This
amongst.
man doesn't have money.
Those who contested. I don't think.
I'm the broke man.
He's an ordinary worker.
This man is master, don't do that.
Yo,
propaganda.
Okay.
No, but the truth is that even if it's you see, but the truth, what you need to appreciate.
Yes.
Is that we've gotten to a point, and that's why myself and Dr. Rashid people are very livid about it.
Yeah.
That if you don't spend, you would find excuse my language.
Yes.
You'd find very blockheaded people.
Of course.
Going to parliament because they have the money.
That is it.
So you'll be forced to spend a little.
And imagine the quality of parliament.
That's the point I'm making.
And one key thing, Kwame, I think some are confused. I don't have any government appointment.
No, you don't.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Some are confused about it.
Yeah.
He is right.
Some are confused. Let me add that disclaimer. Dr. Admango Kisi currently does not hold any access to any
government. But when they give you
that,
you take. In fact, it is coming.
Some of them are. But some also supported this.
So let's be clear in our minds that it's not like whatever spending happened was from government.
Of course.
No, it wasn't from government.
It's a private.
You've not been.
your own resources.
You've not been appointed yet, but you'll be appointed soon.
Thank you.
But monocracy really took over the entire process.
No,
monocracy. Let's be frank.
You're in a position that I think we need to be
fair.
careful.
No, in all fairness.
Careful about this. Listen. One thing I need to say here: Ghana, politics or political power in any part of the world cannot be gained without putting in some funding. If
and then
yes, then yes, ento namos. There's this
the line is not about whether they spend on the line is about the quality of the person.
No, but
you see, they spend money on you.
I'm adding that.
Look at the way your people spend money, but there's so quality in you.
And they chose me.
Of all the monies they spend, they still thought that, look, doctor can represent us more.
Yeah.
He has the caliber of person, he has a qualification, he has a connection.
Thank you.
So they decided to give that to you.
Yeah.
That's the line we are thinking about. And,
and I think I'm a testimony of the fact that you spend less and win. I'm the testimony. So it is the reverse. But it doesn't make headlines.
Yeah.
That the one who spends less won the election. It doesn't make headlines.
No, it will make headlines today.
Nobody likes to read that story. So rather they'll say that, doctor spends this amount of money. That makes headlines. So let me clear the air on this issue.
Okay.
I am not for monocracy. But we need to be aware and mindful that any decision worth making will need some backing. That one is the order of the day everywhere. If you even want to buy good shoes, you need to go to a good shop to get it. So it's unfortunate that some media outlets, per one interview, have,
But what did you say in that interview?
What I said was that, listen, over the past several years,
so you
looking at weddings, engagements, funerals, transportations, meals served during the program, I may have spent about an amount on each delegate, period. And then they went and then did their own calculations.
Over the period. It's not
over
just...
the period, so it's like a 9-year period.
So, yeah.
Then they are okay.
And they went and then made this...
We'll forgive them. They don't know what they're doing.
So I think, media men, please, let's do Ghana a favor.
No, but we supported you. You know, we saw some positive
in
you.
Let's do Ghana a favor.
We saw some positive in you.
Yeah, headliner. I had been there with them like the last 3 weeks, and they called me, and I was like, they will say, "Oh, we need the one back." I was like, okay, let me go. So that is.
Anyway, that is my way. But congratulations.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, we can't pop the champagne on set, but.
Yes.
Monocracy.
It's taking
V8 classy.
It's affected NDC,
V8 classy.
MPP.
Aboboya. Right now, I'm told that the new thing is Aboboya.
You know, when it comes to spending money to win, I feel shy to talk about the Upper West region and especially my constituency, because virtually, if you give them, they will take. But if you don't give them and you talk, they understand. And just like what happened, in the last elections, I feel shy to even mention that I give them money, because those are not monies you can be thinking about. If you give somebody less than 100 Ghana cedis to do transport from where he comes from to come and vote and go back, and then somebody is talking about giving 1,000, you can't imagine that. It's just way above the thinking and consideration of our people. So we just pray that we get a quality candidate who will bring the quality projects to our people. And I'm happy I'm doing just that. Because of me alone, we have the Jambusi water projects. Because of me alone, we have new schools that are springing up everywhere. Because of my effort, we have 2 secondary schools which have been rebuilt in the place. Because of my effort, we have the asphalt in Wa, on the streets. And because of the efforts I have put, you have women who are given training and given equipped to live their lives, you know, and many things that we have supported our people to
Did you facilitate the WA hospital? I
facilitated the WA hospital, and the evidence was when John Mahama went there to commission the construction. He said, if nothing at all, Dr. Pelpo here will not let me sleep. Every day he will give me a call, and it compelled me to go for a loan to come and do this hospital. Wow. This was what he said in the open, that I pestered him so much that he had to go and take a loan somewhere to get a construction.
Only God knows how you will pester him when he comes back and you are still the member of parliament.
Yes, we will do more. We will do more because we deserve what other people are getting. We deserve the kind of development we see in Accra and other places. And so we pressure government to do same for us. And that's the quality you can find. It's not about me giving you money and then you go and take the money, then you have a less quality MP who cannot even approach anybody to do things for his people. I brought, because of me alone, I brought people from outside the country to come and do boreholes in WA. Quite recently, they came to commission a few of them, you know, mechanized quality boreholes, and they are getting good water to drink. Compare that to if I were to give you 500 Ghana cedis or 1,000 Ghana cedis, and then I go to sit in parliament, you don't even see me, you don't hear about me, nothing is going on in WA, and will you be happy? So we in WA are like the people who voted for Dr. Kisi, who are not waiting for money, but who want to see the quality in the person, and who want to vote because of that quality, and who want to support that person to rise to the point when he can be the source of distribution of wealth to all people. Not the one who is at the background to receive, but also the person who can also sit and say, look, go here and take this to WA, take this to Tamale, take this to Koforidua, take this to Kumasi. We want to be part of that process. And they are building an MP who will be like that.
Thank you.
And I think that it is a better option than, you know, buying people with votes who will go and sit in parliament and do nothing.
And I think that Oswald Hagan agrees with you. He says Dr. Adumaku Kisi is an asset to Ghana. Oswald Hagan is watching us from London. And he says that Adumaku Kisi, you are an asset. Asset to Ghana. I have a couple of messages before I come to you, Mambo, to wrap up for today. It's been an amazing conversation, very nationalistic, very patriotic, and I'm happy about it. This one also says, A. Farouk in Tamalino says, okay, Dr. Adumaku Kisi has exposed the government call for COVID-19 protocols. The president must clean his own house before calling on the citizenry to abide by the wearing of a face mask should start. Okay. Cindy Dipku says, good morning to you, Kate. Congratulations to Doctor on his victory. He should change parties and come to NDC. Kate, the issue about the SHS lady who won in WA is something I can't still wrap my head around. Honorable Rashid Pepo is right about money and Upper West Region. We are one. Honorable Rashid, you are the best so far. Congratulations. Cindy Dipku is a friend of mine. Very, very pretty young lady who obviously likes to support good things. Musa Abatwa in command says, good morning to you, heavyweight champion KOD. I don't get a head and tail of this logic. Why someone alone in his car with windows closed and air conditioning on, switched on, to wear a nose mask? Who would the person likely infect with COVID-19 in such a situation? The fact that we should wear masks in public does not mean we should do so when we are alone. However, why is those who break the protocol of face mask and social distancing in respect of the just ended MPP primaries go unpunished? Does EI 65 only apply to different sections of the population? Animal farm indeed. Nicholas Awekeya. Good morning, KOD. I just can't think far about this whole thing. The NIA in the whole of Kumasi, we did not hear anything. That's Ghana for you. Salisu from Salisu from Power, Oti region. The party that took Ghana to IMF for credibility checks, and IMF told them not to recruit nurses, teachers, civil servants, PRS, pay teachers, etc. That party and the leader then is saying they will pay assembly members. Is it all assembly members or some selected ones? They made the same promise in 2012 but failed to deliver. What shows they can deliver this time around? Delight Adasi says, how come we now have legislators telling us that they will not take interest in making better laws for us, but will rather decide to loot money from the taxpayers to construct roads and create jobs? Lillian Akosua Bediako says, I believe that Akufo-Addo should practice what he preaches. He is oppressing Ghanaians by creating unbelievable sanctions on us. How on earth can someone be fined a minimum of 12,000 Ghana cedis? I mean, how? Does Akufo-Addo himself even wear a nose mask when he's giving his updates? A judge in Brazil has ordered the president to pay a fine of $380 a day because he doesn't wear a nose mask himself. But if it's always enforcing citizens too. Akufo-Addo is no different and he should be punished. Okay. Mano James says, KOD, my congratulations to Dr. Adama Okisi. If he wins, he should not go to parliament and defend lies. He's too gentle for corruption. Nanayo Amwa says, my brother KOD, I never knew the intelligent incoming MP for Anyasu Utom constituency, Dr. Adama Okisi, was born to earth and respect both the old and young until I got closer. Dr. Akwaba, I know with God you will transform Anyasu Utom, the true Ronaldo of Anyasu Utom. Nanayo Amwa from Sotum, National Health Insurance Authority. Abdullah says, KOD, Dr. Rashid is telling you, what Dr. Rashid is telling you is 100% right. Even we here in Dondoli, for 2 days, no registration. Abi National from WA. And Dr. Adama Okisi, now the Ronaldo has come to stay. So you better add it to your name. Dr. Ronaldo Adama Okisi. Remember, take us home.
Right. So, Kwame, this issue, I believe, yes, as Doc rightly said, that Honorable, yes, there are certain places where we saw that money overshadowed competence, and it was a challenge. You know, as Doc said, if you're in the trenches with the people, sometimes you always have an edge. Over the years, they've seen that you're in the trenches with them. Likely that they will support you. But when that happens and there are two candidates who have been in the trenches with them over a period of time, there lies the confusion where whoever pays higher might still true. It happens all the time. You know that both candidates have been in the trenches with us. They have been with us for more than 5 years. We love both of them. So in those circumstances, the one who's able to pay higher is the one who's able to get the bid or the nod. You understand? So Kwame, sometimes we look back and I just understand some of the stories our senior comrades tell us in the CPP, where they said in the traditional CPP, there were no elections or primaries, where if you have 4 people contesting for Anya's photo, the elders will lock you in a room, take these 2,000, and ensure that you're able to buy water for other delegates. How many people will do that? You see, I think that is the thin line between us and maybe what is happening in the West, where people, because they believe in the candidate, they will donate towards the campaign of the candidate. But here in Ghana, no, they feel that this is the time for me to also chop something. So come what may, you have to settle. If you don't settle, you are going nowhere. So I believe these are things we should look at.
All right. Saka Salia has a message for you, Dr. Rashid Pelfo. Saka Salia of the MPP, one of the leading communicators of the MPP. He says, Kwame, the WA Hospital is one of the Aerojet projects masterminded by J. Akufo. Honorable Pelfo or JM can't take the credit. In fact, in terms of development, Humu is streets ahead of in every respect, and therefore must be voted as the MP for our Central.
That guy, his communication has always been funny to me. Sometimes you see him talking, and you don't know where he's getting his facts from. This day I told you about, I can tell you, when we were looking for money to do this WA hospital, the president had to go for money from somewhere. I don't want to talk about that.
Okay.
He told me, look, Rashid, this is how we are going to do it. He went in for money, and we started doing the thing. It didn't go far. Fortunately, we needed to go for, this Egypt.
Yeah, Aerojet, the investment.
Aerojet project came up. That question came up. This is long before Kufuor had gone. This was John Mahama
long after,
working to get this thing up and doing. And then we signed this contract with them. Unfortunately, the trouble, the Arab spring that happened in Egypt, stalled the project. So when this project was up and was done, and then MP people started talking about Kufuor, who arranged this, who arranged that, it was funny to us. Before we started, during the campaign, President Mills announced that he is going to do a regional hospital in each region. When John Mahama came, he took it up and decided that one hospital was going to be his priority.
Okay.
And we all worked towards it.
Okay.
And we achieved it. I can tell you all the challenges we faced before we got to Eurojet and got this project done. I can tell you, but it's not for
this platform.
for public consumption.
From the coup,
but let me also add, he talked about Umu. This girl who because of his connection with government is taking the $1 million for per each constituency. They are giving it. You get your share. They are giving it to the MP. They are parliamentary candidates, and then they will tie the projects to, is the northern. They put it in the northern development projects. Yeah. So they tie the candidate's name to the project. So when they are going to do a road, they will say, "Oh, Dr. Kwesi is going to do a road for you," and then they will go and do the road, and they say, "Oh, Dr. Kwesi, oh, he's doing it." And those who are ignorant and don't know that we don't use, people don't have their money. How much money will this lady have to go and be doing projects? What work does she do? Nobody knows the work she does.
From the coup Ishmael, from the coup Ishmael in Wild
Then
Traffic.
you sit there and you say, oh, he's doing projects.
The coup Ishmael in Wild Traffic says, sorry, share to you all, especially Dr. Rashid Pelpo. Dr. Pelpo is the caliber of MP One Central deserve and not the substandard type of PC who won elections against the MCE through opulence. Dr. Rash is an institution and we will surely reward him come December 7th. Greetings to Bunas NDC chair. This one also says, let's hope and pray he doesn't get corrupted by the system. This one is from my colleague David Atto to you. And Hadi from Pig Farm says, the loss of over 40 incumbent MPs makes it clear that President Nana has failed Ghanaians with his 125 substandard ministers. The message goes on and on and on. Koteka Courage, I think I've read your message already. Okay, well, so this government think that with this so-called free SHS, it will help them win the December 7, 2020. That's why they are supporting EC for the new voters register that will capture all the free SHS students. They are joking, Thank you very much for your message. The messages are a lot. I cannot read all of them. And thank you to those who sent it via Facebook. My name is Kwame Owusu. So Dr. Rash, thank you very much for your time. Dr. Adama Kisi Ronaldo, thank you very much. Yirimambo, the incoming national, I wanted to say general secretary, but national organizer of the CPP. You are definitely going to win that particular seat. Adama Kisi, no fears. 2020, we are with you. Yeah, you're going to win. You are going to win. So, Ronaldo, final comment, final words, Ronaldo.
Well,
Julius Agahowa, let me read this one before.
Oh, okay.
From Julius Agahowa and Tahiru in Asawasi, K.O.D. John Muhammad delivered in ways that benefited all the people of Ghana, not just a few. When he makes a promise, he keeps it. So the MPP should know that losing 40 incumbent MPs in their primaries is a sign of bad things to come for MPP, whether MPP is ready or not. Like it or not, Nana Addo Akufo-Addo and the MPP will lose the December elections, inshallah. Victory for JM. Final words for the good people of Ghana and everybody.
Well, once again, thanks to Anyanso Tum delegates. Thanks for the opportunity granted me to lead the party. More importantly, in the next few days, what's coming up is voter registration. Let's all mobilize more people to go up because that's the sure way we can talk to government. Government likes numbers. So we need to show that we have the numbers so that government can then listen to our plight in terms of our roads, our flood issues, and more importantly, jobs. So I'll plead with all, not just in my constituency, to ensure that we do this voter registration exercise to the best of our knowledge and power. And once again, thanks to all your viewers and listeners on this wonderful, great show, Facebook folks following us, and then Anyanso Tum. Let's make Pan-African our station. So thanks,
Thank
Rashid.
Yeah. And your friend Edgar Redu.
Yeah. So we're looking out to Edgar and Sam.
Yeah.
Pierre.
Dr. Marzouk and that. Yes, please.
Yes, so thank you for this program. I think it's sometimes when I sit here and I go through your
Ronaldo comments.
Your comments, your monitoring, your everything that brings these things to successful end, I sometimes get impressed that you are going somewhere. But we were citing examples of people who have committed resources, so much resources to win an election. And we got to the point when we have to lament that so many of them are not voted for because of their competence. And I can't sit here and then talk about others when it has happened in my backyard. It doesn't mean that I don't respect my colleague who is contesting me from the MPP. I respect her because she won an election, and all of us are trying to make a difference in WA. We, however, expect that we should bring the quality of people who can do the job. But if the MPP thinks that that's the person who can do the job, we will face her squarely. But I don't disrespect her. I respect her. And let's all get young people to start thinking about how to build this nation, how to build themselves, how to be honest with their commitment to this nation, so that we don't just get them being bought by politicians to do things that will not eventually augur well for this nation. So much money is wasted. And let's begin to question them. It's important for us, and it's good for Ghana.
Thank you very much. You are giving the last word. Good morning to KOD. I always find it difficult to tune my TV to any other station than Pan-African Television, especially with you directing the program. Keep it up, and very soon Ross will come knocking on your door for the good work you are doing. My humble regards goes to Honorable Al-Haji Abdul Rashid Pelpu for always hitting the nail right on the head. This one is from Sule Bawa in Mamobi here in Accra. Thank you very much. Doc, thank you. Doc, thank you. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Salute.